Imagine launching to the ISS aboard Boeing's Starliner, only to return home in a SpaceX capsule. That's exactly what happened to NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, making them part of an elite group who've flown on 4 different spacecraft: the Space Shuttle, Russian Soyuz, Boeing Starliner, and SpaceX Dragon. So, what's it really like to experience them all? In today's Techmap, we hear directly from the astronauts who've done it. Previously, Butch Wilmore has flown on the Space Shuttle, STS-129, and the Soyuz TMA-14M spacecraft. Sunita Suni Williams has flown on the Space Shuttle, STS-116 and STS-117, and the Soyuz spacecraft TMA-05M. With experience in both Soviet and U.S. spacecraft, spanning traditional government-operated and modern commercial vehicles, Wilmore and Williams, as well as the other astronauts, have first-hand knowledge of how dramatically different these spacecraft can be. And that's especially true when it comes to the legendary Soyuz. The Soyuz remains one of the longest-serving spacecraft still in operation today. While its reliability is undisputed, its old-school design is both an advantage and a drawback. For astronauts, the most immediate challenge is space, or rather, the lack of it. The Soyuz is notoriously cramped, typically accommodating 3 astronauts in an extremely tight configuration. Long-duration missions aboard the Soyuz can be uncomfortable, as NASA astronaut Don Pettit, who flew on 2 Soyuz missions, TMA-1 and TMA-03M, describes, "Soyuz is tiny compared to the shuttle, which has pluses and minuses. From the engineering perspective, smaller is better and cheaper to launch. From a crew comfort viewpoint, the Soyuz is cramped, I might even say cramped squared. Once strapped in, my heels are nearly in contact with my butt. I am tied down at 8 points to a form-fitting couch, making it difficult to move anything other than my arms. I can also swivel my head and wiggle my toes." The limited payload capacity of the Soyuz spacecraft significantly increased the complexity of missions to the International Space Station. Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield aptly described this challenge as, quote, "In the Soyuz, there's simply not room to fly someone whose main contribution is expertise in a single area. The Russian rocket ship only carries 3 people, and between them they need to cover off a huge matrix of skills. Some are obvious: piloting the rocket, spacewalking, operating the robotic elements of the ISS like Canadarm2, being able to repair things that break on station, conducting and monitoring the numerous scientific experiments on board. But since the crew is going to be away from civilization for many months, they also need to be able to do things like perform basic surgery and dentistry, program a computer and rewire an electrical panel, take professional quality photographs and conduct a press conference, and get along harmoniously with colleagues 24/7 in a confined space. This highlights how the Soyuz's design, though efficient and reliable, necessitates that its crew members be versatile jack-of-all-trades, professionals capable of handling a broad range of technical, scientific, and interpersonal tasks during their extended missions. The physical constraints are stark when compared to the Space Shuttle. While the Soyuz offers only about 4 cubic meters of habitable space, the shuttle's crew module has a spacious 65.8 cubic meters. That extra space meant more room to move, a larger crew, and a far more comfortable ride for extended missions. Despite its drawbacks, the Soyuz's tight design serves a critical purpose. During the rough landings on the steppes of Kazakhstan, astronauts are packed into their seats to prevent serious injury. This may seem more like a medieval torture chamber than a rocket cockpit, but the tight enclosure is essential to protect your body from flailing around during the hard landings on the steppes of Kazakhstan. Don Pettit added, "The danger comes from more than just flailing appendages. Internal organs can move around, with undesirable results. High G-shocks can cause the heart to break loose from its mounts, rupturing the attached plumbing. the liver can slide down to where the kidneys used to be. Being tightly strapped into a form-fitting wash tub helps keep all your internal organs in place. While its control panels still feature a mix of traditional switches and dials, the Soyuz has some advantages. For example, it is powered by kerosene-oxygen rocket engines that are relatively smooth and vibration-free compared to the shuttle's solid rocket boosters. It was highly estimated as the world's safest, most reliable, most cost-effective human spaceflight vehicle, established by its unparalleled length of operational history. Between the Space Shuttle's 2011 retirement and the SpaceX Crew Dragon's 2020 debut, Soyuz was the sole means of crewed transportation to and from the ISS. The emergence of private spacecraft, namely Boeing's CST-100 starliner and SpaceX's Crew Dragon, has revolutionized human spaceflight, offering cutting-edge technology, improved comfort, and advanced safety features. Both Starliner and Dragon are reusable and designed to autonomously dock with the ISS. They feature sleek, touchscreen controls, replacing the traditional buttons and switches seen in older spacecraft. Both have integrated launch abort systems, allowing astronauts to escape in case of emergency. However, key differences set them apart. In terms of launch vehicles, Dragon launches atop SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket, while Starliner is designed to be compatible with multiple rockets, including ULA's Atlas V. Their return methods also differ. Dragon lands via parachute-assisted splashdowns in the ocean, while Starliner touches down on the solid ground with airbag-assisted cushioning. More importantly, their cost and performance contrast sharply. Crew Dragon's cost per seat is estimated at $55 million, making it far more cost-effective than Starliner's $90 million per seat. Dragon has already completed 10 official crewed missions to the ISS, whereas Starliner has yet to be certified for human spaceflight. While Starliner was originally intended to be NASA's primary commercial crew vehicle, its development has been plagued by delays and technical failures. The first crewed test flight turned into a disaster. Technical issues made the spacecraft unsafe to return its crew, forcing SpaceX's Dragon to step in for the rescue. This failure has cast doubt over the Starliner program's future, but both Boeing and NASA remain committed to keeping it alive. NASA's Steve Stitch even revealed that NASA is considering conducting a third uncrewed Starliner test flight before certifying it for regular missions. With the ISS scheduled for retirement in the 2030s, Starliner's window of opportunity is closing rapidly. Meanwhile, SpaceX's Crew Dragon continues to dominate, not just in safety and reliability, but also in cost efficiency. Even astronauts themselves have noted its superiority. Japanese astronaut Soichi Noguchi, who has flown on the Space Shuttle, Soyuz, and Crew Dragon, summed it up best. The Dragon is the best, short answer. Each vehicle has its peculiarities, but Dragon is really ready to go up. It's fun to ride. Great ride, very smooth, is what Shane Kimbrough, commander of the crew, two-ferry flight to the International Space Station, described his experience. "It was a great ride, very smooth," he said. "I don't remember any surprises, except we were just all very happy. We were all pretty excited to be on orbit again and feel that incredible acceleration." With Starliner struggling and Soyuz aging, SpaceX's Crew Dragon stands out as the undisputed leader of modern spaceflight. It's safe, efficient, cost-effective, and above all, it works. For NASA, astronauts, and the future of human spaceflight, the choice seems clearer than ever. Out of these four incredible spacecraft, which one impresses you the most? And if you had the chance, which one would you choose to fly on? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. The Dragon spacecraft is just the beginning, and SpaceX is also developing spacesuits for astronauts to fly on the Dragon spacecraft. SpaceX unveiled its next-generation EVA suit on May 4th, designed specifically for the Polaris Dawn mission, a privately funded crewed spaceflight led by Shift 4 CEO Jared Isaacman. This mission marked a historic milestone by conducting the first-ever commercial spacewalk using SpaceX's brand-new extravehicular spacesuit on September 12th. The test was deemed a success, and post-flight data analysis is still ongoing. According to SpaceX, this new EVA suit represents a significant evolution from its previous designs, incorporating cutting-edge innovations for improved functionality, mobility, and comfort. It's kind of like a suit of armor made of fabric, explained Eric Krause, SpaceX's principal spacesuit engineer, in a video the company posted on X. Unlike NASA's traditional EVA suits, which prioritize astronaut survival over comfort, SpaceX's design aims to strike a balance between both. The new EVA suit builds upon SpaceX's existing IVA intravehicular activity suit, but features crucial modifications. While the soft portions remain flexible inside the spacecraft, they become rigid when pressurized in the vacuum of space. To ensure astronaut mobility, the suit incorporates flexure and rotational joints, allowing for smoother movement even when fully inflated. As Elon Musk put it,
because if you just inflate the suit, you're just basically, you're kind of like one of those balloons at a party or something, So it's quite hard to still be mobile in an inflated suit, and have the joints move and stuff. And
this emphasis on comfort and flexibility stems from SpaceX's long-term ambitions. NASA's Extravehicular Mobility Unit, EMU, suits were designed primarily for short-duration EVAs in low Earth orbit, such as those performed on the International Space Station. In contrast, SpaceX is preparing for future missions to the Moon and Mars, where astronauts may spend extended periods in their suits. To achieve this, SpaceX must address numerous challenges, making rigorous suit testing a key focus of the privately funded 5-day Polaris Dawn mission. One of the most crucial aspects of spacesuit design is maintaining internal pressure. Without careful regulation, astronauts could face dangerous situations like the one experienced by Soviet cosmonaut Alexei Leonov. As the first person to perform a spacewalk in 1965, Leonov discovered firsthand how challenging EVA suit pressurization could be. His suit expanded so much in the vacuum of space that he struggled to fit back into the airlock, forcing him to manually release air to re-enter his spacecraft. In addition to mobility enhancements, SpaceX has introduced a Faraday layer, a conductive cage embedded within the suit to protect astronauts from external electric fields. Another major challenge is thermal regulation. SpaceX engineer Chris Trigg highlighted that the suit must withstand extreme temperature fluctuations during EVAs, while ensuring that the interior remains comfortable and safe to touch. The helmet also features cutting-edge advancements, including a heads-up display with a transparent screen. This display provides astronauts with vital telemetry data, such as pressure, temperature, and relative humidity, without obstructing their field of view. Additionally, protective coatings have been incorporated to enhance astronaut safety. By pushing the boundaries of spacesuit technology, SpaceX is not just designing a suit for today's spacewalks, but preparing for the future of human space exploration, where comfort, mobility, and safety will be more critical than ever. Imagine ordering a package online, only for the delivery guy to wrap his truck around a telephone pole before it even gets to your doorstep. That's essentially what happened with Northrop Grumman's Cygnus cargo spacecraft. Scheduled to launch in June on the NG-22 resupply mission to the International Space Station, Cygnus hit a snag before even making it to the launch pad. The problem? Damage to its cargo module's shipping container. Yep, it got dinged up before liftoff. Because when it comes to space travel, sometimes the hardest part isn't the launch. It's surviving Earth's logistical nightmare. NASA, caught in the domino effect, is now juggling cargo schedules. On March 5th, the agency announced it was assessing potential mission impacts due to the incident. Translation: they were peering into the metaphorical wreckage, trying to decide if this was a fender bender or a total loss. By March 7th, they still weren't sure if NG-22 would be delayed. I expect that we'll have to have some follow-on discussions and assessments to determine if there is spacecraft damage or any impacts to the overall mission schedule, said Dana Weigel, NASA's ISS program manager. So, in other words, we're still looking under the hood. Meanwhile, Northrop Grumman is inspecting the pressurized cargo module to check if it's fit to fly. Because nothing says cutting-edge spaceflight like ensuring your cargo ship isn't held together with duct tape and prayers. This is just the latest hiccup for NG-22, which already suffered a delay in February thanks to an avionics issue. With the risk of even more postponements, NASA is shifting cargo around like a stressed-out holiday shopper. The agency is now offloading some science experiments from the next SpaceX Dragon cargo mission, SPX-32, scheduled for April, to make room for extra food and consumables. Because while groundbreaking science is cool, making sure astronauts don't run out of snacks is just a tad more urgent. The real challenge was in just the large movement of our cargo missions, Weigel explained, adding that if NASA had known earlier about the NG-22 mess, it would have crammed more supplies onto last fall's flights. NASA hasn't revealed exactly how much science is being sacrificed in favor of food, but for context, November's SPX-31 mission carried nearly a ton of crew supplies, and about as much science. The previous mission in March 2024 had the balance reversed, with more science than supplies. Now, with NG-22's future in limbo, those proportions are shifting again. Another ripple effect? The handover between the incoming Crew 10 and outgoing Crew 9 astronauts at the ISS is getting shortened. Why? To conserve consumables. With 11 people on board, every extra day is another round of who finished the last pack of space ramen? What that really does for us is it just opens up more undock opportunities, Weigel said, adding that a quicker departure gives NASA flexibility to pick the best weather for Crew 9's return. Also, let's be real, fewer people on board means less stress on supplies, and nobody wants to explain to the astronauts why they're on an enforced space diet. The takeaway? Counting on Cygnus for cargo delivery is a gamble, and NASA knows it. That's why redundancy is key to their operations. But if you thought Cygnus was the only problem child, meet Boeing's Starliner, NASA's other backup plan, which has been on its way for years. It's like ordering an Uber that never arrives. Technically an option, but not one you'd want to rely on in an emergency. It's funny to think that over a decade ago, Boeing's Starliner was expected to help NASA astronauts finally stop learning Russian just to reach the ISS. Back then, Starliner was the golden boy, the pride of American spaceflight. Then along came a newcomer, SpaceX, with its shiny new Dragon spacecraft, getting more criticism than a bad karaoke singer at a talent show. Even Boeing couldn't resist throwing shade, secretly commissioning articles to undermine the competition. What happened next? SpaceX had the last laugh. In May 2020, while Dragon was soaring into orbit with Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken aboard, Starliner was still sitting on the ground, like an old car that won't start. If SpaceX Dragon is a Tesla, Starliner is that beat-up sedan that's been in the shop for 5 years, but it is still waiting on a back-ordered part. While Dragon has been ferrying astronauts and cargo to the ISS on repeat, even scoring extra NASA contracts, Starliner has been trapped in a loop of delays, software glitches, and safety concerns. First test mission in 2019, never even reached the ISS due to a software failure. Second test mission in 2022, it finally made it, but the planned first crewed launch turned into a nightmare. Imagine a mission not just delayed for years, but also failing to bring astronauts back. That's right, 2 NASA astronauts who were supposed to be on the ISS for just 8 days ended up stranded there for 9 months. Starliner became less of a spacecraft and more of an accidental space Airbnb. The financial toll? Boeing has lost nearly $2 billion on the Starliner program. And despite all the setbacks, NASA and Boeing still aren't sure what comes next. So while NASA scrambles to reshuffle cargo, astronauts prepare for tighter supply chains, and Cygnus waits for its repair report, one thing's clear: space travel might be the future. But for now, it still runs on good old-fashioned delivery headaches and a whole lot of delays. SpaceX's spacecraft isn't just leading the race, it's defining the pace. Now let's dive into why Dragon keeps leaving the rest behind. For over 15 years, Dragon has been a reliable workhorse, consistently launching and delivering on its missions. Between 2010 and 2020, its first variant, Dragon 1, successfully completed 23 missions to the ISS. It also boasts historic milestones, such as becoming the first commercially built and operated spacecraft to be recovered from orbit and the first commercial spacecraft to successfully rendezvous and dock with the ISS. Dragon began regular cargo flights in October 2012. Since then, Dragon has been a key player in NASA's Commercial Resupply Services program, working alongside Northrop Grumman's Cygnus. However, unlike Cygnus, which remains a cargo-only vehicle, Dragon evolved with the introduction of its improved version, Dragon 2. This new iteration comes in both crewed and cargo configurations, pushing SpaceX even further ahead. In 2015, Elon Musk stated that Dragon 2 could be reused with minimal rework and fueling, up to 10 times before needing a major overhaul. As of March 2024, SpaceX is working to certify it for up to 15 missions, an enormous leap in efficiency compared to Cygnus, which is entirely expendable. Like its predecessor, Dragon 2 has made its mark in spaceflight history. Its first uncrewed test flight, Demo 1, launched in March 2019, followed by the crewed Demo 2 mission in May 2020. Since then, Crew Dragon has become one of NASA's primary spacecraft for ferrying astronauts to and from the ISS, while Cargo Dragon continues to fulfill its role under the CRS program. Dragon's dominance in NASA's resupply missions is more than just a statistic. It's a clear sign of NASA's growing dependence on SpaceX. When Cygnus faced delays, thanks to the next SpaceX Dragon cargo mission, NASA can reshuffle scientific experiments in favor of food supplies. Meanwhile, Dragon continues to operate seamlessly, underscoring its reliability and the agency's increasing trust in SpaceX. In short, the future has become more clear, like a dragon. With Cygnus struggling to keep up and Starliner stuck in an endless cycle of delays, one spacecraft remains NASA's go-to solution: Dragon. Its proven track record, reusability, and ability to transport both cargo and crew make it the undisputed champion of NASA's commercial spaceflight programs. While NASA may not officially declare a favorite, their actions speak louder than words. The agency is placing its trust and its missions on Dragon because, simply put, it works. So next time someone asks, "What's the best spacecraft for NASA?" the answer is obvious: Dragon. Oh, and why did NASA bring a ladder to Dragon? Because they're finally ready to climb aboard the best option. After breaking down the facts, would you say SpaceX Dragon is undisputedly the best spacecraft for NASA missions? If you're on Team Dragon, drop a dragon in the comments. In addition to Dragon, there is also a new star coming, which is Sierra Space's Dream Chaser. The Dream Chaser spaceplane is set to revolutionize space travel as the first ever winged commercial spaceplane, paving the way for shared global access to low Earth orbit, LEO, and unprecedented international collaboration. Unlike traditional capsules, this sleek, reusable spacecraft combines the agility of an aircraft with the endurance of a space vehicle, redefining how we transport crew and cargo beyond our planet. Designed for multi-mission flexibility, Dream Chaser can be customized for domestic and international customers, supporting a wide range of scientific, commercial, and governmental operations in space. Under NASA's Commercial Resupply Services 2 CRS-2 contract, its first operational model, Tenacity DC-100, will embark on at least 7 critical cargo missions to and from the International Space Station, ISS. These missions will carry essential supplies, including food, water, and cutting-edge scientific experiments, ensuring the continued advancement of space research. What sets Dream Chaser apart is its gentle Earth return capability, delivering cargo at under 1.5 Gs, making it an ideal solution for delicate science experiments and medical research that require a smooth landing. Even more impressively, it can land on compatible commercial runways worldwide, offering unmatched operational flexibility compared to traditional splashdown or hard landing re-entry vehicles. With its high reusability, rapid turnaround times, and innovative design, the Dream Chaser fleet represents the next evolution of space transportation, ushering in a new era of efficient, accessible, and sustainable space exploration for all humankind. As the wave of space commercialization surges, NASA now has more options than ever, thanks to the rise of private spacecraft. However, at this moment, SpaceX Dragon remains the undisputed leader. Its proven track record, reliability, and cost efficiency make it NASA's go-to choice for critical missions. It's so great that after more than 9 months in space, the crew of the Boeing Crew Flight Test mission finally returned home amid the warm welcome of everyone, including these cute dolphins. They are joined by NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov. In September 2024, they launched on Freedom, which contained 2 empty seats that are now being used by Wilmore and Williams for NASA's Crew 9 mission. The crew splashed down safely in a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida, in the Gulf of America. After returning to shore, the crew will fly to NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston and reunite with their families. Boeing finally broke the silence with a congratulatory post on X, but conveniently left out one tiny detail. They forgot to say, "Thank you, SpaceX and Elon Musk, for doing what we couldn't, saving our astronauts who got stranded in space because of us." Instead, their message read, "Welcome home to the Crew 9 astronauts, NASA's Nick Hague, Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov. Your dedication and unwavering commitment to space exploration inspires us all." Elon Musk, SpaceX CEO, also sent his huge congratulations. "Congratulations to the SpaceX and NASA teams for another safe astronaut return. Thank you to POTUS for prioritizing this mission." Even a former NASA astronaut is saying it out loud. Elon Musk saved the U.S. space program. Charles Camarda, a veteran astronaut who flew on the Space Shuttle, didn't hold back when he praised Musk's impact on the industry. "If it weren't for Elon Musk, we would not be able to fly U.S. astronauts from U.S. soil to the International Space Station. There is no doubt about it." And he's not wrong. SpaceX single-handedly revived American crewed spaceflight, ending NASA's reliance on Russian Soyuz spacecraft after the Space Shuttle was retired. Boeing was supposed to help with that too, but, well, we all know how that's been going. With every successful Crew Dragon mission, SpaceX is not just proving itself. It's proving that the future of human spaceflight belongs to those who can actually deliver. The journey back home for Crew 9 was nothing short of thrilling. It all started late Monday night, March 17th, as NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams suited up in their sleek SpaceX flight suits, preparing for departure. At 10:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, teams began securing the Dragon spacecraft's hatch, locking in the duo for their ride back to Earth. By 11:15 p.m., the hatch was officially sealed. At the dawn of March 18th, SpaceX officially confirmed Dragon's separation. The spacecraft later slowly drifted away into the vastness of space. Over the next 2 hours, the spacecraft fired 4 departure burns, carefully maneuvering farther from the station. The real action kicked in at 5:06 p.m., when Dragon jettisoned its trunk section, setting the stage for re-entry. Moments later, at 5:11 p.m., the capsule performed a critical deorbit burn, slowing down and aligning itself for a safe return. As it hit Earth's atmosphere, the astronauts inside experienced an intense 4 Gs of force, a true test of endurance. Then the grand finale. At 5:57 p.m., 4 massive parachutes deployed, gracefully slowing Dragon down for a splashdown just off Florida's coast. And here's where it gets historic. Crew 9 marks the last SpaceX Dragon splashdown in the Atlantic before future missions shift to the Pacific. Speaking of history, Crew 10 will be the first Dragon mission to splash down in the Pacific Ocean, a move designed to reduce debris risks. And get this, the last time a U.S. crewed spacecraft landed in the Pacific, Apollo 8 in 1968. That means after 57 years, SpaceX is bringing back this legendary tradition. To ensure a smooth recovery, SpaceX's support ship Megan, named after astronaut Megan MacArthur, set sail from Tampa Bay, ready to welcome the returning heroes. The 2 astronauts stranded on board the ISS are 59-year-old Sunita Suni Williams and Barry Butch Wilmore, 61, both veteran NASA-trained space travelers. Williams, the current commander of the ISS and a retired U.S. Navy officer, joined NASA in 1998. Over her career, she has spent 322 days in space and completed 9 spacewalks. She previously held the record for the most spacewalks by a female astronaut until 2017, when the title went to Peggy Whitson, who completed 10. Wilmore first flew to space in 2009 on board the Space Shuttle Atlantis. Before the Boeing Starliner mission, he had logged 178 days in space. He has served as a flight engineer and commander on previous ISS missions, conducting research on plant growth in space, the effects of microgravity on the human body, and environmental changes on Earth. In the Boeing mission, Wilmore served as the commander, and Williams was the pilot. After an eventful journey aboard Boeing's CST-100 starliner, Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore found themselves facing an unexpected dilemma. Their ride home wasn't coming back for them. Starliner, meant to be Boeing's answer to SpaceX's Crew Dragon, suffered a series of technical failures during its first crewed test flight under NASA's Commercial Crew program. It all started during their 25-hour trip to the ISS, when Starliner encountered helium leaks and a malfunctioning thruster, a crucial component for controlling re-entry. Upon arrival on June 6, 2024, things got even more concerning as 4 more of the spacecraft's 28 thrusters failed, delaying docking with the space station. Engineers worked quickly, managing to restore most of the systems, but NASA ultimately deemed the vehicle too risky for a crewed return. That left Williams and Wilmore stranded on the ISS with no way home. With no safe option to return them immediately, NASA made the call in August 2024 to bring them back using SpaceX's Crew Dragon. However, the timing was everything. Launching them home too soon would have left the ISS with only 1 U.S. astronaut, impacting research and emergency capabilities. So they had to wait until Crew 10 arrived to replace them. Now, after more than 9 months in space, their wait is finally over. With Crew 10 safely on board, Williams and Wilmore are strapped into Crew Dragon 9 for their long overdue return. This mission marks one of the longest space flights for U.S. astronauts in recent history, and a critical moment for NASA's partnership with commercial spaceflight providers. It's also a stark reminder that even after decades of space travel, getting to and from orbit is never guaranteed. During the time in space, Williams, Wilmore, alongside agency astronauts Nick Hague, completed more than 900 hours of research between more than 150 unique scientific experiments and technology demonstrations during their stay aboard the orbiting laboratory. Some scientific milestones accomplished during their journey include mighty microalgae. NASA astronaut Nick Hague processes samples for Arthrospira C, an investigation from ESA, European Space Agency, that transplants and grows Arthrospira microalgae aboard the International Space Station. These organisms conduct photosynthesis and could be used to convert carbon dioxide exhaled by crew members into oxygen, helping maintain a safe atmosphere inside spacecraft. Arthrospira also could provide fresh food on long-duration space missions. More interesting, we have the red romaine lettuce growing in the International Space Station's advanced plant habitat, which is part of Plant Habitat 07, a study of how different moisture levels affect the microbial communities in plants and water. Results could show how less than ideal conditions affect plant growth. This would benefit to improve the nutrition source for astronauts who rely on frozen food supplies from Earth. At this point, can't help but mention the bionutrients investigation, which demonstrates technology to produce nutrients during long-duration space missions using engineered microbes like yeast. Food stored for long periods can lose vitamins and other nutrients, and this technology could provide a way to make supplements on demand. NASA astronaut Suni Williams prepares specially designed growth packets for the investigation aboard the International Space Station. In addition to the shortage of fresh food, the microgravity effect also results in the loss of muscle for humans. Researchers are testing the European Enhanced Exploration Exercise Device, E4D, a single, small device effective at countering bone and muscle loss and improving cardiovascular health could help crew on future missions. Another exercise study is the Hardy Workout. In this picture, NASA astronaut Nick Hague exercises on the International Space Station's Advanced Resistive Exercise Device while wearing the biomonitor vest and headband. This set of garments contains sensors that unobtrusively collect data such as heart rate, breathing rate, blood pressure, and temperature. The data supports studies on human health, including vascular aging, ACSA investigation that monitors cardiovascular function in space. Alongside the physical training, on-demand medical devices are also needed. NASA astronaut Butch Wilmore works with hardware for INSPA Auxilium Bioprinter, a study that tests 3D printing of an implantable medical device that could facilitate recovery from peripheral nerve damage. In microgravity, this manufacturing technique produces higher quality devices that may perform better, benefiting crew members on future long-duration missions and patients back home. The next one is packed bed reactors, which are systems that pack materials such as pellets or beads inside a structure to increase contact between any liquids and gases flowing through it. NASA astronaut Suni Williams installs hardware for the packed bed reactor experiment. Water Recovery Series, PBRE-WRS investigation, which examines how gravity affects these systems aboard the International Space Station. During the Residence Time-Driven Flame Spread, SOFI RTDFS, investigation at the International Space Station, this sheet of clear acrylic plastic burns at higher oxygen levels and half the standard pressure of Earth's atmosphere. From left to right, the image sequence shows a side and top view of the fuel and the oxygen slowly diffusing into the flame. Studying the spread of flames in microgravity could help improve safety on future missions. During a recent spacewalk, NASA astronaut Butch Wilmore swabbed the exterior of the International Space Station for ISS external microorganisms, an investigation exploring whether microorganisms leave the spacecraft through its vents, and if so, which ones survive. Humans carry microorganisms along with them wherever they go, and this investigation could help scientists take steps to limit microbial spread to places like the Moon and Mars. In the early hours of March 16th, at precisely 1:35 a.m. Eastern Time, the hatch of SpaceX Endurance swung open, marking a historic moment as Crew 10 finally entered the International Space Station, ISS. The awaiting expedition's 72 crew members greeted them with excitement. But this was more than just another docking. It was another testament to SpaceX's continued success in ferrying astronauts to the ISS under NASA's Commercial Crew Program. Following a 28-hour orbital chase after launching aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 on March 14th, 4 astronauts safely arrived at their destination. The crew, Americans Anne McClain and Nicol Ayers, Japan's Takuya Onishi, and Russian cosmonaut Kirill Peskov, blasted off from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida at 7:03 p.m. ET, embarking on this crucial mission. While Crew 10's arrival is significant, the upcoming return of Crew 9 is drawing even more attention. Their journey back to Earth, now set for Tuesday, March 18th, has been accelerated due to favorable conditions. The Dragon spacecraft hatch closure will begin at 10:45 p.m. EDT on Monday, March 17th, with splashdown expected at 5:57 p.m. on March 18th. The timing ensures the ISS crew can wrap up essential handover duties before harsher weather conditions later in the week. For 2 astronauts, this return means far more than just another completed mission. It marks the end of an unexpected 9-month ordeal in space. Originally scheduled for just 8 days, astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams found themselves stuck aboard the ISS due to repeated technical delays. Their prolonged stay wasn't just an inconvenience. It became a serious test of physical and mental endurance. The weight of the situation is clear in their voices, as seen in a video pinned on Elon Musk's X account.
We're coming back before long, so, don't make all those plans without me. We'll be back before too long.
I can tell you at the outset, all of us have the utmost respect for Mr. Musk, and obviously respect and admiration for our President of the United States, Donald Trump.
It's easy to understand their relief. Spending over 9 months in microgravity is not just uncomfortable, it's physically and mentally taxing. The body undergoes significant changes, including muscle deterioration and bone density loss, and concerns about their health have grown. One of the most alarming moments came last December, when a photo of Sunita Williams looking worryingly thin went viral. Though she tried to downplay concerns, many online remained skeptical. Comments on X reflected growing unease. Suni Williams does not look well. She needs to come home now. They look like they're in very bad shape and need to be evacuated ASAP. NASA doctors have been closely monitoring Williams' condition, with former NASA scientists warning that her biggest challenge lies ahead. Astronauts who are exposed to the space's microgravity for a long time often experience severe physiological challenges, including muscle weakness and loss of bone density, an expert explained. Williams' real challenge will begin when these will worsen after landing. Apart from microgravity's toll, nutrition shortages may have also contributed to Williams' noticeable weight loss. Food on the ISS is designed to be lightweight and have a long shelf life, but this often means a limited diet, which may lack essential nutrients over extended missions. Yet it's not just the physical strain. The psychological toll has been equally intense. Williams has described her prolonged stay as an emotional roller coaster, emphasizing the difficulty of being separated from family, friends, and even simple earthly comforts. "I can't wait to see my Labrador dogs again," she shared. "This wait is more difficult for our family than it is for us. It has been like an emotional roller coaster for them." According to Elon Musk, things wouldn't have gone so badly if the Biden administration had allowed SpaceX to bring the astronauts back months ago.
That you think that Biden left these astronauts up in space because he didn't want to give you an opportunity to save them, make NASA look bad, make the private sector look better, make you look good. You believe that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, of course.
I kind of agree. Why would he want to let you help them come down when you're supporting the president?
The Biden administration was attacking me next level.
Yeah.
The Department of Justice or Injustice under the Biden administration was,
Yeah.
they were suing SpaceX They're suing SpaceX for not hiring asylum seekers. And we're like, but it's actually illegal for us to hire asylum seekers.
Things properly stem from a disaster, namely Boeing Starliner's first crewed mission. Even before launch, technical issues plagued the spacecraft. Despite these glaring problems, NASA still gave it the green light. The spacecraft launched successfully in early June 2024, but soon suffered thruster malfunctions and helium leaks as it approached the ISS. Initially, NASA and Boeing downplayed the risks, insisting Starliner could return the astronauts safely. But as the issues kept piling up, rumors started swirling online about a possible SpaceX Dragon rescue mission. After a series of failed fixes, NASA made a vital decision to extend the stay of astronauts Wilmore and Williams on the ISS until the arrival of SpaceX Crew 9 in early 2025. Now, let's be real here. Why was NASA originally so hell-bent on having this crew return on a Boeing Star liner when they knew damn well the vehicle was bullshit? On the surface, the most obvious explanation is that NASA wanted to protect Boeing's reputation. After all, the company has already faced major failures in recent years. But Elon Musk later suggests something deeper: politics.
Are accelerating the return of the astronauts, which was postponed kind of to a ridiculous degree.
They got left in space.
They've been there, they were supposed to be there 8 days. They're there almost 300.
Biden.
They were yes, they were left up there for political reasons, which is not good.
Musk's statement set off a firestorm in the space community. Some accused him of spreading misinformation, but he stood his ground. So, who's telling the truth? Let's hear from the view of someone familiar with the matter.
I can only say that Mr. Musk, what he says is absolutely factual. We have no information on that, though, whatsoever. What was offered, what was not offered, who it was offered to, how that process went. That's information that we simply don't have. So I believe him. I don't know all those details, and I don't think any of us really can give you the answer that maybe that you would be hoping for. The words they've said, politics, I mean, that's part of life.
He denies that politics played any role in the decision, though.
From my standpoint, politics has not played into this at all.
As you may know, space should not be political, but in fact, space is inherently political, and started that way ever since John F. Kennedy launched the space race between the US and the Soviets. So, what do you think? Was this about protecting Boeing? Or did the Biden administration intentionally delay the return for political reasons? Drop your thoughts in the comments. In the depths of a crisis that has spiraled out of control, the Boeing Star liner saga has transformed from a minor setback into a catastrophic nightmare. With each passing day, the problems intensify, and Boeing's financial hemorrhage reaches a staggering $2 billion and counting. The company's reputation is plummeting, sending seismic shock waves through its ranks. Once a beacon of innovation in the dawn of space exploration, Boeing was more than just a company. It was an icon synonymous with boundless ambition and the pursuit of the stars. This golden era saw Boeing play a pivotal role in crafting the very foundation of space travel, from the colossal Saturn V rocket's SIC first stage, which defied gravity with its 7.7 million pounds of thrust, to the lunar orbiters that meticulously mapped the lunar surface, guiding NASA to safe landing sites. The Lunar Roving Vehicle, or Moon Buggy, further extended astronauts' reach, etching Boeing's name forever in the fabric of human history. Despite this legacy, Boeing's recent turbulence with the Star liner program threatens to tarnish its reputation. The company received a substantial $4.2 billion from NASA for the Commercial Crew Program, dwarfing SpaceX's $2.6 billion contract. However, this wasn't solely due to its legacy. Boeing's influence in Washington and strategic lobbying efforts played a significant role. The company was expected to outpace SpaceX, but instead it finds itself struggling to keep up. Boeing's bold claims, such as sending astronauts to Mars before SpaceX, now seem hollow. The Starliner's woes, including helium leaks and thruster malfunctions, have led to significant delays and financial losses. As Boeing grapples with these challenges, its future in the space race hangs precariously in the balance, overshadowed by SpaceX's success and Elon Musk's relentless drive. The question now is, can Boeing recover from this monumental setback, or will it succumb to the pressures of its own making? In a surprising move, both NASA and Boeing have remained silent on Starliner's future. Will they cancel it? Or are they doubling down on a spacecraft that has already proven to be unreliable? Previously, Boeing insisted it was committed to overcoming the persistent issues that have plagued Starliner. And despite the disastrous mission, Boeing's new CEO has reaffirmed that they're not giving up. The company has pledged to continue working on Starliner, with ongoing efforts to fix the technical failures exposed during previous test flights. But let's be honest, is this really about improving Starliner, or is Boeing just too deep into this mess to back out now? NASA's silence raises even more questions. If the agency truly had confidence in Starliner's future, wouldn't they be defending it? Instead, all we hear is radio silence. NASA is weighing its options for the future of the Starliner program, with a crewed flight still on the table for 2025, if Boeing can overcome its lingering certification hurdles. But doubts are mounting. Some industry insiders suggest that if Boeing fails to make significant progress soon, NASA could rethink its partnership for crewed missions altogether. Meanwhile, a possible cargo flight later this year offers a glimmer of progress. But the bigger question remains. Can Boeing secure Starliner's certification for full-scale astronaut missions, even as last year's crewed test flight remains incomplete? The clock is ticking for Boeing's Starliner. With the ISS set to retire in the early 2030 and SpaceX's fifth Crew Dragon nearing operational status, NASA is already moving to extend its commercial crew partnership with SpaceX through the Crew 14 mission. That raises serious doubts about Starliner's ability to complete all 6 of its contracted crewed rotation flights and secure its full payout. In March 2019, SpaceX took a major step toward human spaceflight with the successful launch of Dragon's first uncrewed flight test, known as Demo 1. This mission validated the spacecraft's ability to dock autonomously with the International Space Station and return safely to Earth, paving the way for crewed missions. A little over a year later, in May 2020, SpaceX achieved another historic milestone with Demo 2, the first crewed flight of the Dragon spacecraft. This mission carried NASA astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken to the ISS, marking the first time in nearly a decade that astronauts had launched into orbit from U.S. soil. It was also the first crewed spaceflight in history operated by a private company. Demo 2 was a defining moment not only for SpaceX, but for the global space industry. The launch captivated audiences worldwide, proving that commercial spaceflight had arrived in full force. Among the most watchful observers was China, the United States' biggest competitor in the modern space race. As SpaceX pushed the boundaries of private space exploration, China took note, accelerating its own efforts to develop comparable technologies and establish a dominant presence in space. Also in 2020, this country successfully tested new uncrewed spacecraft that bore a strong resemblance to SpaceX's Crew Dragon. That mission was an early step in China's grand plan to send astronauts to the moon. For the test flight, the spacecraft rode atop a Long March 5B, China's most powerful rocket at the time, soaring nearly 5,000 miles above Earth. The trial was reminiscent of NASA's initial Orion test flight in 2014, a crucial milestone in America's own lunar ambitions. Like Orion's debut, China's mission was deemed a success, further fueling speculation about how quickly the nation could close the gap in human spaceflight capabilities. Just a year later, or in 2021, a further step was announced. CAS Space, a commercial spin-off from the Chinese Academy of Sciences, CAS, revealed plans for a single-stage reusable rocket designed to carry up to 7 passengers on a 10-minute suborbital journey beyond the Kármán line, the 100-kilometer, 62-mile boundary between Earth's atmosphere and outer space. Named ZK-6, this spacecraft stands 15 meters tall with a 3.35-meter diameter and features 4 windows. It is powered by 5 XY-1 engines, each with a thrust of 15 tons, and is designed to be reused over 30 times. A glance at the ZK-6 reveals striking similarities to SpaceX's Crew Dragon, reinforcing the growing competition between the two nations. One of its most notable features is the use of grid fins near the top of the rocket to help steer its descent, a design element reminiscent of SpaceX's Falcon 9. However, instead of landing legs, the ZK-6 will be caught mid-air by an arm attached to the launch tower, a technique similar to the one SpaceX has proposed for its Starship Super Heavy booster. Meanwhile, the crew capsule will return to Earth using 3 parachutes for a controlled landing. CAS Space's space tourism vehicle was originally set to take its first crewed flight in 2025, but then delayed to 2028. Its tickets are expected to cost between 2 to 3 million yen, around $281,000 to $381,000, $421,000. With this development, China is positioning itself as a serious player in the emerging commercial spaceflight industry, signaling a new phase in the global space race. These are not the first times Chinese rocket programs have emulated SpaceX, such as when Space Pioneer planned to develop a Falcon 9 clone. In 2023, the company announced a new round of funding for development of the Tianlong-3 rocket, comparable to the SpaceX Falcon 9. Tianlong-3, Sky Dragon 3, is a 2-stage kerosene liquid oxygen rocket with a reusable first stage. The 71-meter-long rocket has a diameter of 3.8 meters. It has a takeoff mass of 590 tons and produces 770 tons of thrust. Tianlong-3 was by then the largest commercial rocket launched in China. It was expected to be nationally second only to the expendable Long March 5B, 25 tons, in terms of capacity to LEO. Space Pioneer states that the rocket will be capable of lifting 17 tons of payload to low Earth orbit, or 14 tons to 500-kilometer Sun synchronous orbit. The firm originally planned to launch the Tianlong-3 rocket in June 2024, but an accident during a static fire test in June 2024 caused the rocket to crash. Previously, in 2022, Wang Xiaojun, president of China's Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology, took the stage to showcase a concept for a 2-stage methane-fueled launch system, one that looked all too familiar. The slides he presented left little to the imagination. The design bore a striking resemblance to SpaceX's Starship, from the sleek stainless steel structure to the general staging architecture. Of course, there are some key differences. CALT's version is built to haul around 20 tons to low Earth orbit, just a fraction of Starship's staggering 100-ton capacity. There are also distinctions in engine thrust generation, though the full technical details remain somewhat vague. Beijing's strategy is simple but undeniably effective. Rather than sinking years into original research, trial and error testing, and costly redesigns, they're opting for a faster route, reverse engineering SpaceX's best practices. It's a pragmatic approach. Why reinvent the wheel when you can just copy and refine it? At this point, China's launch industry is essentially lurking in SpaceX's shadow, watching and waiting for the next breakthrough to borrow. When SpaceX proves a concept works, be it full reusability, methane-fueled engines, or tower-assisted landings, China swiftly moves to integrate similar technologies into its own designs. And the results speak for themselves. Just a decade ago, China's rockets were largely derivatives of old Soviet designs. Now their space program is evolving at breakneck speed, rapidly closing the gap with NASA and SpaceX. With each new development from Elon Musk's team, the blueprint for China's next-generation space ambitions becomes clearer. Of course, copying is one thing, execution is another. Building a fully reusable rocket isn't just about mimicking the exterior design. It requires precision engineering, advanced materials, and years of rigorous testing. Whether China can match SpaceX's rapid innovation cycles remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, they're not slowing down. And with a Starship-style vehicle in the works, and an ambitious lunar program taking shape, China is making it clear that they don't just want to keep up, they want to lead. Elon Musk's response to China's copycat approach? A shrug and a smirk. Rather than worrying about intellectual property theft, Musk has long dismissed patents as bureaucratic obstacles. He believes true innovation isn't about locking ideas behind legal barriers, but about moving so fast that competitors, copycats included, can never catch up. During a tour of SpaceX's Starbase facility with TV host Jay Leno, Musk showcased the company's cutting-edge Raptor engines, designed and built in-house in California. When asked about patents, he didn't mince words.
You know, the problem is, like, patents are generally used as a blocking technique.
Right.
They're like using, like, landmines in warfare. They don't actually help advance things. They just stop others from following you, and most patents are BS.
Musk's stance isn't new. In a 2012 interview with Wired, he openly admitted that SpaceX holds essentially no patents, because in his words, publishing them would be like handing China a recipe book. Instead of relying on legal protections, SpaceX leans into rapid iteration. By the time competitors reverse engineer one breakthrough, the company is already on to the next. This philosophy extends beyond SpaceX. In 2014, Musk took an unprecedented step by opening Tesla's patents to the public, hoping to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles. He argued that patents often stifle progress rather than encourage it, calling them a sign of stagnation rather than innovation. At SpaceX, this approach is even more aggressive. Musk's strategy is simple: innovate at a relentless pace. While China and other aerospace players may replicate SpaceX's hardware, keeping up with its rapid development cycle, ambitious vision, and execution speed is another challenge entirely. Copying blueprints is one thing. Keeping pace with a company that reinvents itself every few years? That's the real test. What do you think? Are patents a shield for innovation? Or just a roadblock? And can China ever truly rival SpaceX by following its footsteps? Let's hear your thoughts. However, after all, we can't say that China's space is weak. In fact, it is rapidly evolving into a formidable force in the global space race. At the heart of China's ambitions is the China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation, CASC, the country's primary space contractor, which is steadily working toward making China a leading space power. Wu Yansheng, CASC's chairman, recently outlined an ambitious roadmap that aligns with the strategic vision of President Xi Jinping, one centered on technological self-reliance and space dominance. The long-term goal? To establish China as one of the world's top aerospace powers by 2030 and a fully comprehensive space leader by 2045. CASC has made it clear that it aims to enhance China's ability to utilize space efficiently by upgrading infrastructure, improving in-orbit servicing capabilities, and advancing low-cost space transportation. However, China's ascent is not without challenges. Wu acknowledged the geopolitical hurdles, particularly the U.S.'s intensified competition, restrictions imposed by the Wolf Amendment, and trade blacklists targeting Chinese aerospace firms. He also pointed out that the U.S. is actively securing prime orbital slots, lunar landing sites, and radio frequencies, strategic resources essential for future space dominance. Despite these barriers, China remains focused on its milestones. A crewed lunar landing is slated for before 2030, followed by the construction of the International Lunar Research Station, ILRS, in the following decade. Unlike previous projects, China is open to international partnerships for the ILRS, though it will be developed separately from NASA's Artemis program. Further down the pipeline, China has set its sights on a Mars sample return mission within the next 10 to 15 years, an apparent delay from its initial 2031 target. The country is also planning deep space missions to the heliopause, Jupiter, and Uranus, alongside a major exoplanet hunting project known as the Mian Project. While China may have started by observing and adapting existing technologies, it is now carving its own path in space exploration. With a strong political mandate, a rapidly expanding technological base, and an unwavering commitment to self-reliance, China is not just following in the footsteps of space pioneers. It is actively shaping the future of spaceflight on its own terms.